Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bells. Every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So you have been told for a while now that the Democrats are using these illegal migrants to take our place, Black Americans, if not for just the labor, but for the purpose of voting. But not enough of us care. We still want to vote Democrats. We still want to go for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because the Republicans are racist. And yet the Democrats are not. So you say. But there has been enough history to show Joe Biden's the way he feels about Black Americans. So now this has come up. This new evidence, this new article has came up, proving what has been said about why the Democrats are so gung-ho about bringing the migrants in. But you know what? I want to do a little quick history lesson first, because I want us to go back to the times of slavery and pre-Civil War. You know how we said, like I say, the migrants are the new Black Americans. So you got to show a little bit of history for context, just for context. So at least our people, if not even the migrants that are coming in, can understand where we're coming from. So this is an excerpt or a story from blackpast.org. And the title just reads, "The 3/5 Clause of the United States Constitution of 1787. And it reads, it says, often misinterpreted to mean that African Americans as individuals are considered 3/5 of a person, or that they are 3/5 of a citizen of the United States. The 3/5 Clause, Article 1, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution of 1787, in fact declared that for purposes of the representation in Congress, enslaved Blacks in a state would be counted as 3/5 of the number of white inhabitants of that state." So basically just saying for every 5 white people, you can count 3 Black people if you have them as slaves. Simple as that. The 3/5 Clause was part of a series of compromises enacted by the Constitutional Convention of 1787. The most notable other clauses prohibited slavery in the Northwest Territories and ended U.S. participation in the international slave trade in 1807. These compromises reflected Virginia Constitutional Convention delegate and future U.S. President James Madison's observation that, quote, "the states were divided into different interests, not by their size, but principally from their having or not having slaves." When Constitutional Convention delegate Roger Sherman of Connecticut proposed that congressional representation be based on the total number of inhabitants of a state, delegate Charles Pinckney of South Carolina agreed, saying Blacks ought to stand on an equality with whites. Notice how nothing says Democrats or Republicans, just delegates. Pinckney's statement, that's Pinkneys, apostrophe S, statement was disingenuous since at the time he knew most Blacks were enslaved in his state and none, slave or free, could vote or were considered equals of white South Carolinians. So basically it was like, we're going to use you for your labor, if nothing else, but you're like nothing to us. But wait a minute, if we can get more representation in Congress, so that way we can get laws passed and enacted on our behalf. Oh yeah, we'll count you. We'll count you on the census. Other delegates, including most notably Governor Morris of Pennsylvania, argued that he could not support equal representation because he could never agree to give such encouragement to the slave trade by allowing them, southern states, a representation for the Negroes. With the convention seemingly at an impasse, Charles Pinckney proposed a compromise. Quote, Three-fifths of the number of slaves in any particular state would be added to the total number of free white persons, including bond servants, but not Indians, to the estimated, because did they already have them on reservations at this time? Probably. To the estimated number of congressmen each state would send to the House of Representatives. The Pinckney Compromise was not completely original. This ratio had already been established by the Congress, which adopted the Articles of Confederation in 1781 as the basis for national taxation. Taxation without representation, what they would say. They would say, we got all these people and we can't get tax benefits or get tax money because we got all these people that we don't consider people because they are slaves. I mean, go figure. They say, although the Three-Fifths Compromise and others regarding slavery helped hold this new fragile union of states together, many on both sides of the issue were opposed. James Madison and Edmund Randolph of Virginia used the phrase quotas of contribution to argue that slaves should be fully counted, one for one, and opposed the compromise. See, these are people who had the slaves. They want them to be counted person to person, although they didn't respect them or look at Foundation of Black Americans as equal or even as human. They wanted them to be counted as human. It says Northern opponents correctly pointed out that slaveholding states had more representatives than if only the free white population was counted. By 1793, slaveholding states had 47 congressmen, but would have only 33 if not for the compromise. During the entire period before the Civil War, slaveholding states had the disproportionate influence on the presidency, the speakership of the House of Representatives, and the U.S. Supreme Court because of the compromise. By the 1830s, abolitionists such as William Lloyd Garrison of Massachusetts used the clause in their argument that the federal government was dominated by slaveholders. The Three-Fifths Clause remained in force until the post-Civil War 13th Amendment freed all enslaved people in the United States. The 14th Amendment gave them full citizenship, and the 15th granted black men the right to vote. And still, they want to talk about voter registration laws, and it's unconstitutional for someone to show an ID. And the Democrats are feeding that to us, saying it's not right, and that we shouldn't have to show an ID to vote on things that dictate our future, our lives, daily lives. We shouldn't prove that we are citizens, that we don't have to prove that we pay taxes, but I got to pay taxes. You make it make sense. Oh, I said I was going to stop saying that. But anyway, I'm going to come up with another slogan somehow, somewhere. But it just does not compute in my slow brain that they want. And it's like, you wonder, like, why are they so dead set on not allowing or not making people show IDs? And then you say, well, why are they allowing millions of migrants to come into this country illegally knowing that it's going to harm the infrastructure of these cities? Then, lo and behold, the Most High works in mysterious ways. And yes, I got this from foxnews.com. If you Democrats hear me, you can hate if you want, but I'm finna come with the real. No, they came with the real, and I'm bringing it to you because I know you ain't gonna read it. GOP, it reads, GOP effort to stop illegal immigrants from being counted for House districts. Electoral College shot down in the Senate. The Senate ran by Democrats. The House ran by Republicans. Remember that when I continue this story. No Democrat voted for the measure in the upper chamber. No Democrat voted for it. Let's continue. In an effort by Senate Republicans to stop non-citizens, including illegal immigrants, from being counted on the census for the purpose of apportionment for House seats, and the Electoral College was shot down later Friday after the measure failed to gain the support of a single Democrat. But Democrats, Joe Biden, he got our back. He always had black people's back. Remember that. Senator Bill Hagerty, Republican of Tennessee, moved to include in amendments attached to the $460 billion spending package that will require the Census Bureau to include a citizenship question in any future census, and then bar anyone who isn't a U.S. citizen from being counted for purposes of congressional district and electoral college apportionment. While the bill would also exclude legal immigrants on temporary visas and green cards from the census, the move has been undertaken explicitly to stop illegal immigrants from being counted amid millions of new arrivals at the southern border. It's similar to a Trump-era effort to include a citizenship question in the 2020 census. Trump's efforts sparked widespread criticism and condemnation from Democrats and left-wing immigration groups who argued that a citizenship question was unlawful and was designed to help Republicans in future elections. Now, amazing. They're afraid that this is going to help Republicans in future elections. Why would they think that? If you're just counting citizens and not illegals or people who are like naturalized citizens, why would you say that would help Republicans? That wouldn't help nobody. It just make it an equal playing field, right? Because you're dealing with American-born citizens. And then you say it's unlawful. How is it unlawful to ask somebody, are you a citizen? So I can go take the census. I was a census taker years ago. So yeah, you go in there and number one, first of all, when you go take a census, people with a bunch of illegals in their house ain't gonna answer the door. Or they ain't gonna tell you that their grandmama, their abuela that's in the back in there is illegal. They're not gonna tell you that. They're gonna tell you there's two people living in the house and you see like 5 or 6 running across. Two people live in the house and yeah, they're citizens and this is my nationality and thank you and go about your business. So anyway, they're not going to even answer the door anyway. But what the thing is, what Democrats to me are trying to do is make it to where that if someone comes and takes the census, they're basically telling, what they call it, not whistleblowing, but dog whistling, telling illegal immigrants, look, when the census people come by, you tell them you're there, you give them your information, and then you go on about your business. Now, they saying that what the Republicans are trying to do is only going to help the Republicans in the future. But let's continue to read because you're going to see how this is going to help the Democrats in the future. Hagerty told Fox News Digital last month that he believes that Democrats in sanctuary cities and elsewhere are accepting of the effects of the migrant surge because they are hoping to gain greater representation in the House of Representatives and Electoral College by redistricting. Quote, they are seeing people leave their states. They are seeing the potential of the next census to lose congressional districts and electoral votes. I think most people in America are shocked to find out that we count the presence of illegal immigrants in determining the allocation of congressional districts and electoral votes, Hagerty said. So this is where that federal money will come in. So you got all these migrants going to illegal immigrants, going to these sanctuary cities in hopes, and the Democrats hoping that enough of them will come to offset the people that are leaving. And if a lot of people don't leave, now you still got extra people in there to where, like I say, you can get funding, you can get laws passed, bills and legislation passed due to, like I say, representation. So you can sway votes and sway bills your way because, hey, I got a lot of people here. I got a lot of delegates here. You don't have a lot of delegates, so you don't have representation like we have. So if I say we need $1 billion for our budget for the next quarter, I should get it because of the number of people we have. But yet you're not looking at them like real citizens because you're not paying them the money that you know they should make, that an American-born citizen would demand and will require to live, to be able to survive and live in this country. You're gonna treat them like, hey, almost like a 3/5 compromise. But if you think about the motives for the crime that's taking place at our southern border, that is it. That's what the Democrats are trying to do, he said, and it is a sheer power grab. It's cynical as hell, and it's actually the most straightforward explanation of why they would tolerate this carnage and mayhem. It's in order to retain and gain power. Some conservative experts have warned about the potential of the migrant surge on house apportionment in particular. The Heritage Foundation's Laura Reese published an essay alongside R.J. Harmon, the president of the National Immigration Center for Enforcement, warning that illegal immigration is triggering a warped representation in Congress. Barring the census from including non-citizens and apportionment is critical in making sure that American citizens, the only population who can and should vote in the U.S. election, are picking America's leaders. Rise and Hartman wrote, warning that the crisis is distorting the representation that states have in the House and how many electoral votes they have in the presidential election. So see, when you have this election, because that's why you got the Electoral College. For those of you who don't understand it, I barely understand it, but this is what I do know. And it was created back before the digital age, back in the 1700s probably, is that people in a certain state, they vote. They count these votes up. And instead of dragging these votes all the way across the country, making sure that they don't get robbed and, killed over bunches of pieces of paper, or they get burned or get lost or damaged. You vote in a certain area and they count them up, and then they go to, I guess, to the government buildings of that state. They tally up the votes and they're like, okay, this person got 50% of the vote. This person got 40% of the vote. So let's say this person won. So this state, say Texas, has 2 delegates. I'm just making up a number. They got 2 delegates. This state over here got 2. This state got 3. This state got 1. Blah 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 blah. So they all send their delegates up to the Capitol, and they say, okay, my state voted for our 2 delegates go to this candidate, and our 1 delegate go to this candidate, and our 5 delegates go to this candidate, and they count them up. It's just like now. So it's just whoever has the most delegates wins. But let's say Texas could have the biggest population, excuse me, but can only have, like I say, 2 delegates, like other states. But let's say 90% of Texans voted for one candidate, but he only get 2 delegates. So that's how they say, like, what was it? Was it George Bush or one of them few elections ago that one of the Democrats got the popular vote, won the popular majority vote, but delegate wise is how he lost the election. So basically, that's what the Democrats trying to do. So can you imagine Joe Biden and Donald Trump running for president? And if you only had used able-bodied, tax-paying, soil-born Americans voting, and their votes are the only one counts, and Donald Trump could end up winning. But then you flip it and say, hey, if we can count these illegal immigrants for these sanctuary cities, which are Democratic ran cities, we can get more delegates to where they can represent what we feel, how we feel in this presidential election, so they can go towards Joe Biden. This is why you pay attention to politics, people. This is why you vote for policy, not people and not party. Because these people are underhanded and they dirty, and they don't care anything about you like that. However, Haggerty's amendment failed after 51 Democrats and independents voted against the measure or were not present. One Republican, Senator Lisa Murkowski, Republican of Alaska, also voted against the measure. That's something wrong with Alaska. They had that dang one woman that was thrown out. Yeah, what was her name? Sarah Palin. That when she got into politics, you knew something was wrong with Alaska. All other Republicans either voted for the measure or were not present. The vote was 51 to 45 against. Man, the most united Republican support for the measure suggests that it could pass in a GOP-controlled House. In a statement, Haggerty said the Democratic opposition confirms that they are using illegal aliens and sanctuary cities to increase their political power. Of course, the vote comes as immigration remains a red hot political issue. President Biden visited the southern border last week, and the other day he visited some black businesses and trying to pander for the black vote, the same thing they do every 4 years. And on Thursday at the State of the Union, renewed his appeals for Congress to pass a bipartisan border bill, which you don't need because the stuff is already there on paper. You just got to reinstate it. Look, folks, we have a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. You don't need a bill. Just close the song gun. I mean, come on. Some things ain't got to be that dang on serious. The bill would increase staffing to the border and funding for cities and NGOs receiving migrants. Right. It would also place a limit on border entries, but conservatives say the 5,000 a day trigger would normalize already excessive levels of illegal immigration. So there you have it. Do you need more proof? I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear me read this from Fox News, so I tell you what, go to Google, go to Bing, or whatever you use, and Google up this article or this subject, and you can go to any news source you want and see what they say, and choose for yourself. This is not to help reparations in the form of cash payments. This is why we holler that, because we see what you're doing. Reparations in the form of cash payments, because it's about to go down. Y'all are showing your hands before this election. And at this point, like I say, any Black American, Foundation of Black America, descendants of slavery, vote for these Democrats, something wrong with y'all. Something is really wrong with y'all. I don't know what you think the Republicans are going to do worse than what the Democrats are doing, but the Democrats are showing you. Used to be the Republicans be the one you knew that wasn't doing nothing for black folks. They just doing something for American citizens, and you know what I'm saying, get in where you fit in. Get it how you live. As simple as that. But these Democrats act like they're doing something for you, and they do nothing. They give you these programs that's taking away the family structure, taking away your independence, making you dependent on a man. And now they're about to, well, they're already doing it. They're just replacing you. Because all they worried about is the votes and politics. They don't care about you. Don't care about us at all. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below and then share it with the world. Hey, let's dialogue. You know how we do around here. And also, 4 ways you can support the channel for free. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. It only takes maybe a minute or 2 for you to do that to help boost the channel and the algorithm, help get more views, get more subscribers. It'll help fund it. And so we can improve the channel and I can bring better content. Simple as that. I'm all trying to improve every day. And if you want to help monetarily, there's links in the description box also that you can click on and help that way as well. But anyway, with that being said, I'll leave you in peace and I'll see you on the other side.